It's raining here today. You can probably hear the rain on the tin roof. So I'm going to brighten my day by making an applique cactus cushion. You might remember we included templates for making some cactus keyrings in June's Inspiration Club. I've simply enlarged the templates on a photocopier by about 200%, 225%. And I'm going to use those on my cushion front. My cushion is going to be 12 inches, so to start I'm going to cut a 13-inch square from the fabric that I want to use for my cushion. It's 13 inches because I'm working with a 1/2 inch seam allowance all the way around the edge. So once I've started sewing, that extra inch will disappear. Okay, there we go. I've cut the fabric for the front of my cushion. And now I need to cut my cactuses to go on top. I'm going to be using felt, but this felt is eco-fleece. It's made from recycled plastic bottles, but it's also machine washable. If you're going to use felt for a cushion, you do want to think about how often that cushion cover is going to be washed. So all I'm going to do is choose a different colour for each one. Look good in that green. Okay, I'm just going to pin my template to it and then very, very quickly cut them out. Okay, so I've got my 3 cactus shapes and I've got my piece of fabric. I'm going to position my cactuses. Remember that you're going to lose the edge because it will disappear into the seam allowance, like that. And then pin them in place. If you've got one on top, leave that to the side and pin that one after. Once you've pinned it, turn your sewing machine on and just sew quite close to the edge in the applique shape. Okay, once it's stitched in place, just remove your pins and then repeat with your other 2 applique shapes. Okay, once you've sewn them on, cut off any loose threads just to get them out of the way. And you've got your 3 cactuses on the bottom of the cushion. What I'm going to do now to make mine just look a bit more interesting is I'm going to use some buttons here. And I've got some embroidery thread in a few different colours, and I'm just going to decorate these with some of the extra bits. So I like this yellow embroidery thread. So the embroidery thread comes in 6 strands. I only want to use 3. So if I can find it, I'm going to very carefully separate out my threads. Okay, now I've got 3 strands, a bit long actually. Grab my needle and I'm going to add some extra detail. So I'm going to start just by doing a simple running stitch. Can be quite big stitches because it's just decorative. So I'm going to do that running stitch all the way up to the top and down the other side. Okay, and you can see it's just starting to add more texture, make the cactus look a little bit more interesting. So I'm going to carry on adding some running stitch. And maybe a few other stitches. Okay, you can see just with that little bit of embroidery thread, it now looks quite a lot more like a cactus. Now to add some texture to the other 2. For this one, just to make it a bit more interesting again, I'm going to add some blanket stitch around the edge. On each stitch you can see I'm holding the thread against the fabric, going from there into there and just coming up so that the thread is wrapped around it, and it just creates this kind of texture. So now I've added some embroidery stitches to all three of the cactuses, which just makes them look a little bit more interesting. And I've got these buttons, which were also in June's Inspirations Club, that I'm just going to lay on top, maybe a couple on that one, just to add some flowers to the cactuses. You could of course just use some more embroidery stitches to add maybe a few flowers or a little bit more texture to it. Okay, there's my finished cushion front. I'm quite happy with that. I think it's going to look really good as a cushion. For the back, I'm going to use a basic envelope, which we've done on the blog before, but just in case you need it. We're going to start by cutting two pieces of fabric for the back, each about 13 inches by 8 inches. Or if you're working with a fat quarter, cut a 13-inch strip and then just fold it in half and cut along the fold. And that'll give you a really decent size overlap. Okay, so once you've cut your pieces, you're going to iron it. You're going to fold over that edge by about ½ inch and just press it down nice and flat. Once you've folded that over, just fold it over a second time to completely hide the raw edge. And then you can see it's folded nice and neatly. You're going to do exactly the same thing with the other piece of back fabric. We're going to sew a really neat line along that folded edge on both pieces. So just pop that on your sewing machine. Okay, we've got two neatly sewn edges and we're ready to put our cushion cover together. So take your cushion front, right side up on the table, get your first one of those, pop it face down on top, make sure you line up the sides and that top edge. The folded edge is in the middle. I'm going to do exactly the same with the other one but from the bottom, so put that one face down on top and the folded edge again is in the middle. And then grab your pin cushion, pop some pins just to hold it in place. Okay, so it's all pinned. I'm going to sew all the way around the edge, starting part way down one edge, leaving a ½ inch seam allowance. When you get to the corner, stop your machine, make sure the needle is down and just pivot. If you're sewing a little bit too far, like I have, you can rectify that just by going backwards a few stitches and then pivoting again. Right, once you're back to the beginning, remove all those pins and you've very, very nearly finished. You could just cut around the edge quite close to your stitches with some pinking shears to stop it fraying. What I'm going to do is sew all the way around the edge again with a zigzag stitch on the sewing machine, making sure that I don't cross that line of stitches, but as close to it as I can get. Okay, and the last thing I need to do is just trim off some of the excess fabric, just to give it a bit of a neater finish. Okay, so it's all neatly stitched around the edge. All I need to do now is turn it to the right side, see what my cushion cover looks like. Make sure you really, really push those corners out. Okay, there's my finished cushion cover. All it needs now is a cushion pad. So through the hole in the back, cushion pad, just like you would a pillowcase at home. Okay, and there is my finished applique cactus cushion.